And welcome back, everyone, to the Matinee Review, where two friends talk everything entertainment, such as movies, animated features, television shows, video games, cartoons, and comic books. I am Justin.
I am Akili.
How's it going, man?
I'm in your face, man.
You're not in my face.
I'm here.
Don't get out of my face.
I'm here in the cave.
The cave.
We're live.
You're here, man.
We're live.
This is our first actual same room podcast.
Same room.
I'm
same
digging
mic. This is I can look across and see your reactions instead of imagining what you could be saying or thinking.
Right.
It's all good.
Yes.
I love this.
This is cool.
And when I ask how are you, I kind of know because we've been kind of hanging. So this is cool.
Yeah. Well, let's see. You flew in yesterday.
I did.
And today we're going to do our first interview as well. So
indeed, we have our first guest, everybody, today.
It's going to be fun.
Exciting. This is probably going to be one of my favorites.
Yes.
Because, that first guest is it's always a good thing.
It's our first time, and hopefully he'll be gentle with us.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, man. Flight was good?
Oh, that flight was good. Thank you, Spirit. I thank you for the cheap money and the quick service, and everything was wonderful.
They had cheap money too?
Yeah.
Oh, I dig it. Oh, you mean cheap prices?
Yep, cheap
prices.
prices.
They were giving you money too. It's like, here, please.
No, I think Spirit would be...
Here's a $5 and, enjoy lunch on us. No, okay.
No,
cool.
I wish. No, everything was great. Flight was great. No delays or anything. Got to experience LA traffic again, though. That was fun.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Wasn't that great? It was fun getting to you as well. Yeah. Yeah. You got only one of it.
Right.
Yeah, I had it twice. But it wasn't bad.
Cool.
I mean, it's LA traffic.
It's LA traffic.
And everybody's out again because, everybody got shot. Well, not everybody got shots. Get your shots.
Please.
Yeah. They're available. There was even that tent at LAX.
There is. That's right there. No appointments. No, 18 and over. No appointments. No insurance needed. Like just
Johnson
come get
Johnson,
the Johnson Johnson one shot.
Yeah.
Nobody at the tent taking a shot, but
you can even get a shot at the airport, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they're saying. Welcome to California.
Get your shot. Yeah. For sure.
Dig it. All right. Well,
I think today is going to be a good day.
Yeah.
I think this is going to go well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's shall we get into the news?
The news. Let's get into the news. Extra. Fresh off the wire. Just give me the damn newspaper, kid.
All right. So frickin' demanding.
Yeah, well, the kids just stand on the soapbox yelling, just trying to get my news and go.
Yeah, we're just trying to get some money, okay? I'm just trying to make a living here.
Just trying to get that cheap money.
Yeah, that cheap money. That's right. Perfect.
Awesome.
Let's dive into it here because we got a heck of a story here.
I want to get this one out the way.
Yeah.
Nice and quick.
Can we?
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, nice and quick. So, in 1991, a wonderful band named Nirvana came out with an album called Nevermind.
Yeah.
On the cover of that album, there's a 4-month-old baby. Looks like he's chasing a dollar in a swimming pool. That 4-month-old baby is now a 30-year-old man. There's a 30-year-old man named Spencer Eldon. And he is suing the band. He's filed a lawsuit. He's claiming that he has suffered lifelong damages, basically suing for child pornography and exploitation for being on the cover. The lawsuit states, I'll just read this, the permanent harm he has approximately suffered includes, but is not limited to, extreme and permanent emotional distress with physical manifestations, interference with his normal development and educational progress, lifelong loss of income earning capacity, loss of past and future wages, past and future expenses for medical and psychological treatment, loss of enjoyment of life, and other losses to be described and proven at trial of this matter. He is asking for $150,000 from each member of the band, including Kurt Cobain's estate, from the person who took the picture, from MCA. He's even suing the drummer that was in the band before Dave Grohl replaced him. Now, mind you, keep in mind, Spencer Eldon has recreated the cover of this album multiple times.
Yeah.
The latest was in 2016. He's been interviewed a couple times, and some of the things he says is just kind of bonkers. One thing that stuck out that I read was he says, like, man, it's kind of crazy to think about. When I go to a baseball game, I don't know what he sounds like, but, you know, when I go to a baseball game, I'm looking around, I'm going, man, all these people have probably seen my little baby penis. I feel like my human rights have been violated.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I've had girlfriends look at pictures of me when I was a baby, and you know what? They saw my little baby penis at that point. And guess what? I don't feel exploited. I know that there's a difference here because maybe the rest of the world didn't see my little baby penis at that point. But even if the world saw a picture of my little baby penis, I wouldn't be offended because it doesn't look like that anymore. So, unless I say this, man, unless he is upset at the fact that he's got micro junk, which is a condition, it does happen. What the fuck is his problem other than he sounds like a lazy asshole who decided not to educate himself because he figured that he'd be able to get away with everything in life because he was on the cover of a Nirvana album?
He did an interview with GQ, and they asked him, like, so when did this all start? And he said something along the lines of, well, a couple months ago, I'm trying to do this art exhibit, and I wanted to call the band to see if, you know, they'd be involved, and I had to speak to their lawyers. And I'm thinking, well, why do they keep putting me on the album cover if, you know, if I'm not such a big deal? Like, you know, and I'm thinking, so I feel like you were supposed to speak to the lawyer about what you wanted to get done. Did you expect, like, Dave Grohl and them to hit you up and, like, hey, Spencer, hey, buddy. Hey, you know what? Thanks for taking that picture. Really helped our album sales out. Yeah, sure. And, you know, like, who did you think was going to? Oh,
Helicopter.
On cue.
Come on, guys.
On cue. See, they love the podcast. That's like, you know, that's who you talk to, isn't it? Like, oh, hey, you know, hey, lawyer for Nirvana, I'm doing this art exhibit. Be cool if you could maybe reach out to some of the cats in the band. Maybe they could, like, show up or maybe say something. Maybe just, you know, put something online like, hey, remember this baby? Like, support his, like, art thing, you know. But or maybe they know that you've recreated the picture 10 some odd fucking times, and it's like, oh, this kid again?
That's another fucking
This
thing.
kid again? He's still doing that?
It was fine for him when he was younger that he was on this album. He didn't feel that he was, you know, being exploited at a younger age. And then each time after that, when he recreated the picture, didn't quite feel exploited at that point. And even he said, like, what they asked him, when did this come up? And he was like, oh, a couple of months ago because I wanted to do an art project store thing, whatever the fuck. And then I had to talk to somebody's lawyer instead of talking to the band because they don't want to talk to me. So you know what that means? I should sue them for child exploitation because I'm bitter that they don't want to talk to me.
Mm-hmm. How much you want to bet the art exhibit is him recreating the picture again?
So recreate the fucking picture again, but just don't have to. It sounds like he found out. What's good? I have a baby in there. My penis is on there. Well, and I think we're going to hit the record for the most times we'll ever say penis on our podcast.
Yep.
But there's no reason to do this other than I figured a way to try and sue them because this might stick. If I throw enough shit against the wall, something's going to stick.
Yep.
And he's thinking that this is going to stick. I'm sorry, it may fly somewhat, but I don't think it's going to stick.
In 2016, when he recreated the picture, he said he wanted to do it naked, but the photographer felt uncomfortable, so he did it with swimming shorts on. So he wanted to do a naked picture again, or for the first time. He wanted since he did it when he was 4 months old, so he wanted to do a picture naked. And so it's just like, just create like an OnlyFans page, bro. Jump in the pool, naked, take the picture, and then, boom, start making some income. Or maybe it sounds like, ever since I was 4 months old and found out, I've been trying to get success and get a little fame by being like, hey, y'all, remember I was the baby on the picture? And now that 30 years old, people are like, well, okay, again? Like, we don't care, bro. And it's finally gotten thin. And so he's like, well, maybe if I get the cats in the band to say something about it, maybe, oh, no, I have to talk to their lawyer? Well, fuck them, like you were saying. So I just, you know, from me to the world and to Spencer Elder, even if you listen to the podcast, it's a dumb lawsuit, and I hope it just costs you more money and I hope they don't even settle. I hope they just make you go to trial, and you have to keep paying these lawyers, and this is just bankruptcy and shit. Penis.
There. Penis. I think that it's either this or We are going to hit the record. I mean, they might actually be like, I'm sorry, we can't put this out. No, you said penis too many times.
We can edit a couple of them out.
Maybe one or two, but you know. I think that there's a good possibility he's just also doing this for the publicity.
Correct.
You do a big enough lawsuit, you make a big enough frickin' scene, then you're going to be in the public eye for maybe a long enough time for, like you said, at that point he could do something like an OnlyFans. Or maybe he finally will just say, you know what? I'm putting it out. I'm coming out naked in a photo, and I'm going to do this. And then he can just, then at that point say, okay, yeah, I was being stupid.
Yep.
Because you're being stupid. So yeah,
Yeah,
what a dick. No pun intended. Yeah, what a penis.
When it comes to Spencer Elder, just like the name of the album, Nevermind.
Yeah. Yeah. So, best thing we could do right now is just, from here on out, folks, just don't talk about it. You can't, and also blaming the not being able to get a good enough education due to the fact that he, that has nothing to do with it. If you don't pay attention in school, that's fucking on you. So, it's not like, hey, I was on the cover of an album, and it's completely hindered my ability to be able to get a good job and a good education.
If you don't mention that at all, like they're not going to know, unless you really say it. It's not like you look like that anymore. It's not like they're walking in there going, not like he's walking in a job room and they're like, Nevermind, baby.
Hey,
whoa,
hey, let me get $1 bill on a hook
cool,
here. This
man.
is whoa,
cool,
yeah.
man. How's that? So yeah. Sorry, Spence. I don't think it's gonna work, bro. I hope it doesn't work. I hope Nirvana I just hope they ignore you.
I hope they put out a remastered version of Nevermind, but instead of calling it Nevermind, they put your picture up and they just call it whatever. And then the first song could be a new song that they put on it, and they'll call it Good Story, bro. And then it's done.
For sure.
So, fuck him. Who cares?
Moving on.
Really quickly, there's, I guess, a rumor that Cad Bane might show up in Mandalorian. It'd be a live-action Cad Bane. I'm down.
That's the bounty hunter, the kind of the Western.
That dude. I mean, the show is a Western on its own. It's just, he's walking in with the spurs, and he's the guy coming into town. And
he's always walking into the saloon. And
you got John Wayne's grandson as the stuntman, being the guy that they use for most of the walking shots.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a Western.
There you go.
And so to have Cad Bane show up in a live-action version, it's absolutely appropriate. Every time he was on any of the episodes, it was like, all right, we're watching Silverado in space.
Sure.
So it was cool. Yeah, so to see that happen, if that happens, I'm down.
You just gotta show up on Tatooine, and just like a dust bunny rolls on behind him and shit, and they just do like a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Speaking of Western, real quick, I'm excited. We're gonna have some ChanTams, apparently.
We are having ChanTams, yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Is that what's in the bag?
Well, it's not all that's in the bag right here. This is all the condiments. We got some garlic ranch dressing. We've got ourselves some garlic ketchup and some garlic butter. Go along with a little bit of that garlic mustard that they add on the side. I tell you, it is wonderful. It's nice, it's spicy, and it's very filled with garlic. And we also got a nice little cup of just good old-fashioned roasted garlic.
Wonderful. Garlic everything. ChanTams, everybody.
We're going to have ribs. We're going to have corn.
Stack of ribs.
We're going to have some onion rings.
Oh,
that's right. Think about maybe some ChanTam mac and cheese.
Ooh, doggy.
A lot of garlic in that, too.
You're getting ready.
Yeah.
Support your local ChanTam, everybody.
You don't want to be bit by a mosquito on any vacation? Make sure you stop by with your local ChanTams. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about Winston Duke.
Winston Duke, folks.
Talk about Winston Duke.
Let's remind them who he is. Let's see. He was the father in Us.
Crawdaddy.
And he was M'Baku.
He is going to be Batman.
People are going, what? Wait a minute. What?
Well, let's hold off. That's not going to be live action. I guess what's happening is DC has partnered with Spotify. And they're going to be doing a series of almost like old school radio plays.
I'm down for this.
And so I guess one of the first ones they're going to be rolling out is a Batman one. And yeah, Winston Duke is going to voice Batman.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I love old school radio serials. I grew up with the BBC production of the Star Wars radio drama that had, some returning characters, mainly just Anthony Daniels and Mark Hamill. But to be able to, on the road trip, any road trip, be able to listen to a Star Wars movie in 13 episodes that are like 22 or, some of them 30 minutes long. I enjoy that because, using your imagination as a kid is something you do every second of the day. So to be able to keep doing that as an adult, it's kind of, I don't do the audiobooks, but if we can do more radio dramas, that type of thing where, I guess it is an audiobook, but it's more of just a radio stage play.
Sure.
So Winston Duke, Batman, this sounds fun. And I didn't know it was Spotify.
Yeah, go Spotify. Well, we love Spotify. We're on Spotify. Hey now. I'll just real quick, here's the log line. When audiences meet Bruce Wayne, he is a forensic pathologist working in the bowels of Gotham Hospital and tasked with examining the victims of the Harvester, a gruesome serial killer preying on Gotham's citizens. Not only will the superhero be forced to face his own mental demons, but he will also have to overcome them in order to save the citizens of Gotham as his alter ego, Batman.
Dig it.
Chris Isaacs will also be joining him. He'll be playing Alfred. For those who don't know who Chris Isaacs is, he plays Draco Malfoy's daddy in Harry Potter.
Oh,
I forget the name now, but long hair, long white hair, and all the snake cane, and real cool. I forget about it.
And he's in a hell of a lot of other things, too.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And then it looks like other DC characters expected to join the podcasting universe in the future include Wonder Woman, Lois Lane, Catwoman, Riddler, and Batgirl. So it sounds like DC and Spotify have a nice little lineup going. The title is Batman Unburied.
Dig it.
I'm all for this.
If it's like straight up like radio drama style thing, man, do they have auditions?
I don't know.
Do they need like a mobster? I would love to play a mobster. That would be great. I mean, just radio drama, man. I mean, shit. We're doing a podcast right now. Mm-hmm. It's like doing a podcast. I would love to do a fucking radio drama.
Uh-huh. I was always real enamored by the story of the War of the Worlds. You know, how it really caused a panic.
Yeah.
And I always remember things like, wow, like that's, before internet, before TV, people used to gather around the radio and listen to, it's where you got your news, where you got everything, your shows and stuff. So just people thinking that an actual alien invasion was happening because, here's the alien is stepping off the ship now. And this, soldiers are walking up to it. And it's just like people going, we gotta get the fuck out of
here. Right. The army is here. They're firing upon the craft.
So I'm all for this.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I hope people get into it. I mean, I do the audiobooks. I enjoy them. It's definitely helped on the flight. Have made that hour pass real quick. So, I would totally get into this. So I'm all for this.
I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this.
You think Marvel jumps on this train in their own kind of...
They should.
Yeah.
They should. They've got so many stories. They got so many stories. You can do it in animated version. You can do it in live action. You can do it video games. And you can do it in audiobooks or just the audiobooks. Get a whole bunch of people in one room to be able to react off each other and do an audio stage play. Do it. So I'm down.
I mean, if you're getting them on a set to do anything, it's like, hey, you want to jump in the sound booth for us real quick and just give us a quick you can tell little stories in between stories,
right? Little
conversations in between kind of movies and the show and kind of whatever.
Cool. I can't wait for this.
Lucius Malfoy. That's the name of the character. I wanted to get that right.
Lucius Malfoy?
My lady would not forgive me.
Yes.
Big Harry Potter fan. Lucius Malfoy. So that's Chris Isaacs, and that's what it'll be. Winston Duke, Batman Unburied. Go.
Dig it.
Dig it all.
Dig it. All right. Well, then, let's talk about the big thing of the week here, folks. We finally had our Spider-Man trailer. Everybody's been just chomping at the bit for that, and it's finally here. It was leaked, and we got to watch it on a phone. It was a phone on your phone or whatever device you were watching it on. So if you're watching it on your phone, you're having triple phone action here. Wow.
And 2021, everybody. This is how far we've come. Phones watching phones. I
used to kind of laugh about the Comic-Con blurry footage because it's just somebody kind of holding their phone up a little bit slightly by their shoulder. and they don't even know what they're filming, so it's crooked and it's really small.
Yeah.
But then you get somebody else's head, the silhouette of their head, over by like the lower part of the left of the screen. And I would laugh that that's how we were watching our trailers. And now we're watching trailers on a phone, being filmed by somebody on a phone, on our phone.
Yeah, crazy. I liked seeing the leaked version of the trailer, now knowing what the little blocks and all that were going to be, because there's the, when you first see it, you just see Spider-Man, it looks like blue screens, little, like the blue bars that just look real weird. Now we know they turned out to be the trains, and it turned out like the whole Inception style, like sinking city, because when you see the leaked version, it's just him and a blue screen, and you're like, what, I wonder what that's going to end up being in that. Right. Now we know. Now it's some good stuff.
Yeah.
The trailer was freaking exciting. It's gotten everyone talking. Everybody's throwing out theories and about what you can see, what you haven't seen, I guess we can do a little quick talk about kind of what we liked about it, and our little theories and this, that, and the third.
I was going into it thinking Peter's just going to be on the run. Now that everybody knows who he is, and half the city might hate him, and the cops might be after him for murder, all this different shit, I thought it was going to be Spider-Man on the run, which is why it's called No Way Home. You don't get home because they all know who you are, and if you go home, you're screwed. And this is not the case whatsoever. They all know who he is, and I guess he's got a court date from what looks like at the trailer, and he was handcuffed at one point, but then he's on the phone, like on his couch, talking to MJ.
The power of editing, man. It's not like we're watching it and it's going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen.
Well, of course, no, so, but I mean, just like from everything that we've seen, he's definitely like not a nomad on the run, hiding in, like different clothing and just constantly swinging around buildings, so... that's kind of what I was expecting it to happen, but no, it's like I said, still goes to school, and they're like all filming him.
Sure.
So that was kind of interesting. Like, how does Spider-Man still go to school? Because, at that point you're wanted for murder.
Well, maybe he can't leave. It's that thing where it's like if you have court dates, you can't leave the state, and everybody knows who he is, so he has to. So what else are you going to do? You might as well.
Keep going to school. Well, I mean, he's very much for education. He's not an idiot. So.
Right, he's very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart young man.
So, yeah, I...
Hooked up with Zendaya. Very smart young man.
Very smart young man. Too bad he's out of shape. That poor guy. Right. Maybe I should be his trainer. Just let him, just go ahead and... I'm flexing, everybody.
That's impressive. It's impressive, too. No.
I think I pulled something in my neck. It's like right by the shoulder blade.
We got to get quick flashes of all the villains. Well, I mean, I think we got flashes of most of them. I think we can see a little dark silhouette of the Lizard. I think we see this big figure that kind of looks like a Sandman. We see lightning. It looks like it's supposed to be Electro.
Yeah, we definitely see some sand and lightning happening at some point in the trailer, and then there's sand all over the ground with the cops and everything like that. We see that the hand coming out at Peter, and what is interesting, I don't know if the red flash that goes off in that scene is something that's coming from the hand. It really looks like it's coming from Peter's head. And we're getting the Peter Tingle.
Peter Tingle, yeah.
The spider sense. But in this, it's Peter Tingle.
Yep.
So I think we actually finally get like an actual live-action version of the Peter Tingle as opposed to him just going, oh, wow, and this moving or whatever it was. So I'm excited about that. It's kind of giving it a more comic book vibe.
Get to see a bomb. Looked like a pumpkin bomb. Get to hear a laugh.
It's a very distinct pumpkin bomb and a very distinct laugh.
I think it's a very distinct laugh.
So it seems we're getting our and we
no helmet. Yeah, no helmet, Willem. Can we just say no helmet, Willem? Please, can we just
do that?
Yep,
I mean,
just
even
have him just do what
maybe have him show
does.
up in the helmet and at some point just take it off and go, I can't breathe in this thing.
Whose dumb idea was that?
Yeah. What's going on? Why am I wearing this? Hi, Peter. Catch.
Right.
Yeah, no,
and
I
then,
would love that.
Of course, the final shot, we get to see the old Doc Ock arm, and then
yes, and it's
Mr.
got a
Doc Ock himself.
got a red glow to it, so that means that the arms are in control.
Hello, Peter.
So yeah.
Now, my thing with this, and I've been waiting to put this on the air.
Do it.
We know the tricks and editing trailers, and there's stuff that they'll shoot that won't be in the movies, and they shoot stuff out of time to make you think, oh, this is happening at this time.
Right.
I'll just ask a question. Do you think it's possible that Doc Ock, when he's going, "Hello, Peter," do you really think he's talking to Toby and Tom Holland is just there? Because, in a sense, how would that Doc Ock know that? There's a kid in a Spider-Man outfit. He can't really assume it's not like, who are you? It's more
right.
If he's going, "Hello, Peter," like, I think he's talking to Toby, and Tom Holland's just there, like, to witness this.
If he's not talking to Toby, then the only reason why he would call him Peter and really realize that, okay, this guy's Peter Parker somehow.
Maybe just sees a dude in Spider-Man outfit.
Well, it's all over like Times Square. You got half his face is Spider-Man, half his face is Peter Parker, and you hear J. Jonah Jameson going, "Peter Parker is Spider-Man."
True.
So
true.
He could be wandering into this like, what am I doing here? Okay, look at the screen. Ah. Peter Parker, you look different. Whatever, I'll go find you. And then just boom, hello, Peter. But yeah, no, I'm more leaning towards it's probably Tobey Maguire. And if we're getting,
I know that's what I want it to be. I know. I'm projecting what I want to have happen, but
right. Well, if we're going to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, you have already, when we know that he's back, you have Alfred Molina playing Doc Ock. Alfred Molina was in
the I don't know if you call it deepfake, but the face technology looks good.
De-aging? Yeah.
Yeah, the de-aging looks good.
Yeah. He looks a little plasticky, but that's okay. Probably looks better on a bigger screen.
There's kind of a sheen on it.
Yeah, and if you're watching a YouTube video, it's never really coming through in like 4K true. It's usually like a 1080 if you get lucky, or 720 mostly. Also, depending on your streaming capabilities, it could be a little, just the slightest bit fuzzy.
Right.
It could be clearer, but
Shamook will fix it.
Yeah, Shamook will fix everything.
Shamook will fix everything.
But because he's back, we all know that he was in the Sam Raimi movies. And then you have the Pumpkin Bomb that they've revealed, Sam Raimi movie. We've had Jamie Foxx saying that he's back as Electro, and then taking that back and going, "Oh, wait a minute, no, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. Whoops." Pull that tweet down. Oh, sorry.
My bad.
Anybody else asked him again, he's like, "No comment."
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So he got that call.
So he's back. We can just say that, and we're seeing yellow lightning and everything. So there's that happening. With all them coming back, and Lizard and Tom Holland and both Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland didn't fight Lizard.
Right.
So doing all that, bringing all them back, why would you bring them back and not the main actors? Especially when you're talking about multiverses. Especially when we're talking about something that would be smart on Sony's part, to bring everybody back for one movie introduced in a Marvel movie, and then they can just educate everybody the fact that this is what's happening. Multiverse makes it so that way all these characters can meet each other, and now they're going to have their own separate movies again. We'll be able to have Spider-Man 4, Amazing Spider-Man 3, Tom Holland doing every, whatever Spider-Man movie and or, whatever villain movies, he can be the villain of the anti-hero movie. You can introduce Venom into Spider-Man. You can do all this different shit. You can just make all the characters just constantly go into each other's multiverse, like they're doing with the cartoon. We're going to see a sequel to that. So they're just jumping back and forth. Cool. Why can't we see it live action? So, yeah.
I guess Sony is starting a kind of a Spider-Verse, I guess, because,
yes,
maybe, one thing we didn't have to make it a topic. We just mentioned it. We just saw the poster for the new Venom movie.
Right.
And we saw the things in the background with is Empire State Building one, Golden Gate Bridge the other. Maybe that's where Peter Parker flees to.
Could be. I think
if he's having to leave New York, maybe he goes to San Francisco, and then there's the whole cross there. There's the shots of the Morbius still where Jared Leto's walking in the background. You see Spider-Man's picture, and it's somebody spray painted murderer on it.
Right. So, and that's a pull from the Spider-Man game that they brought out of the Sam Raimi style Tobey Maguire Spider-Man outfit. But then he ends up talking to Michael Keaton at the end of that trailer, who's in the same white prison outfit that he was in at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. What the fuck?
I know.
So I really think that when that whole Sony and Spider-Man and Marvel thing went south, and Sony went, "Nah, we're good. We're done. we're done here, folks. Thank you. And then all of a sudden, everybody was praising, Kevin Feige and I think it was Bob Iger at the time, and the heads of Sony were praising Tom Holland because he came together, got everybody together. He came and got everybody together and said, "Hey, this is what we should do." So I think he just basically said, "Let's do a multiverse of Spider-Man stuff. Bring in the old Spider-Mans. You can continue doing your movies along with my movies and their movies and everything like that, and it can be introduced through Marvel." I mean, this MCU, there's no way that it's not going to do good at that point. And there's no way that the other movies can't, be good or at least successful because it's already been set up that way. Mm. So I think that, yeah.
Can you imagine Tom Holland had to be the marriage counselor between Disney and Sony? The guy's got fellas. Let's just make this money. Here's what you do.
If I was at that point, yes, I mean, more true to the comic books, the way, it, kind of at least the age range of Spider-Man when he started out. Yes, Tobey Maguire was a great Spider-Man. Guy still looked like he was 30 when he was doing it. Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man. Still looked like he was in his at least mid-20s when he was doing it. Tom Holland looked like he was 16 when he started this. Looked like he was 17 in the next movie. Mm-hmm. He's, 21, 22 now? Something like that. He's in his early 20s. He still looks like he's frickin' 18. Yeah. So to be that more true, at least that close to the comic books, and to be that successful when it comes to working with Robert Downey Jr. and being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then all of a sudden having everybody go, "No, you're not going to do that anymore," I would immediately be going, No, let's all talk, please. Mm-hmm. I would have to figure out a way because I would not want to lose that opportunity to be able to still be in the MCU. Because at that point, he was just literally just being ripped out of the MCU, and Sony was like, "No, whatever, we'll do our thing."
Right. And
he was like, "We can do our thing, but let's not be let's not jump the gun here, folks. Right. Let's not think that we're just immediately going to be successful because I'm in it."
Yeah.
So I
like being Spider-Man, y'all.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Do you think James Franco comes back?
No. No. Do you think James Franco fucked himself in attempting to do others? No, I don't see him returning to any type of Spider-Man or a Marvel universe. It's not like he had a drug problem and went to jail.
Right.
And came out, and now he's going to be able to have his redemption.
Right.
Freaking Robert Downey Jr. was fucking up for a long time, and he figured out, I need to turn this shit around or I'm doomed.
Oh.
And he did. But
tremendously.
He wasn't touching on people and be like, "Hey, let's do this, baby." So, no, I'm good, Yeah.
Now,
no, he's not coming back.
If I'm not mistaken, Deborah Ann Wolf is the actress from the Daredevil show. Isn't she?
Yeah, she's the secretary, the one who was their first case, mm-hmm. and then they won it, and then she ended up working with them. Yeah.
So, pictures of her and Kirsten Dunst hanging out together.
Yeah, she's claimed that that's not her.
Yes, she probably should.
Yes, so she should.
Everybody's talking the possible Matt Murdock, possible Charlie Cox Daredevil showing up. Everybody wants it to be the dude who's slamming the papers down.
That's not him.
And all that.
That's not him.
Do you think Kirsten Dunst comes back? She makes some kind of weird appearances.
I would think that it would be, if they're trying to at least, I believe if they're not going the extreme multiverse route, where this is not the same Sam Raimi style Spider-Man, but at least it's, one that looks like the Sam Raimi one, where it's, a branch off of that universe. If they're not doing that, then they've got to tie it to the end of Spider-Man 3, which was slightly depressing. They had their dance, but it doesn't seem like they're just going to be honky-dory and getting back together.
In the Spider-Verse, so I saved New York and did whatever this was.
Right. And that was Spider-Man 3, of course. So I would think that at that point, maybe at the end of the movie, if you're introducing everybody, we're going to be able to see their wrap up when they go home.
Sure, you got to go home, man.
Right. So we get to maybe see maybe Tobey Maguire just goes and knocks on someone's door, and it happens to be Mary Jane's. And she opens the door, And she kind of says hi, and he goes in, they shut the door, and that's the last you see of her. It's really quick. That's all you need.
There you go.
She doesn't need to be hanging off the side of a building or anything like that. Or you got like Green Goblin going, remember this? Now it's happening again in this movie. I mean, universe. I mean, timeline. I mean, where am I? Fuck it, catch her.
Right?
So, yeah, I think that, if anything, they're going to bring her in for a quick little thing, flashback maybe. Maybe it'll be like he's depressed as hell because she died at the hands of somebody that we haven't seen yet.
Right on.
Who knows?
My biggest question through the whole trailer, honestly, though, why is it snowing in your man's crib?
Right?
Why is it fucking Winter Wonderland inside the sanatorium with Doctor Strange? Like, it's nice and sunny, opens the door. It's, what the fuck? Really? Like,
Right.
and he's just floating and walk around in the boots and he's drinking hot chocolate, just like,
Yeah, he's got, what is it, sweatpants and...
Wong's getting out of there for warmer climates. What happened inside the sanctum?
My guess...
Why is it snowing in your man's crib?
My guess, because he is the Sorcerer Supreme, or at least getting to that point, he's still studying. He's still just trying new spells and seeing what the hell he can do. And obviously Wong is a little annoyed, a little perturbed at the fact that his fucking place seems like it's about 5 below. It's not the type of air conditioning you're looking for in New York. So maybe he was just trying out new spells and they can't get rid of at least the cold in this one, or they have to wait for it all to thaw.
He's got to do
It's
shoveling
there.
it in
Right,
there.
Right. So at this point, I think he's like, that's it. I'm out of here. You handle this. And then as he's about to
That's
leave,
why he's telling him, because he's like,
don't do it. Look what you did already. Yes, exactly. Look what you've done here.
you can't even cool the place down a little bit without making it snow.
Right.
You think you're going to flip homie dude's make the whole sit? Nah, man.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So
I'm now gonna go be in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go fight the abomination. Yeah, that's my only guess. That's. There's no other reason for it to be completely covered in frost and snow and ice, other than he's been practicing his spells, and this one was a big oopsie daisy. Mm-hmm.
I think this movie is going to blow a lot of minds.
Yeah.
I think Marvel, once again, is just going to have this string of like, here is the Shang-Chi's going to be the beginning of our next thing. Here's a nice little action thing before we totally flip your lid with Eternals.
Right.
And we're going to get you ready for the next thing that's coming. And it's they're going to start to introduce the mutants and all that, and quote unquote the mutants with the X-Men and all that with this whole immersion thing. And then also it's like, yep, we're playing with the timeline. Now here we go. This is what we have in store for you for the next 3, 4, 5, like next to 10 years with this whole story we're telling. So,
yeah. Well, I think they can definitely stretch this whole multiverse thing out for at least, the next 2-3 years, maybe more.
Do you think Doctor Strange reels it all back in?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think it's going to go through to like Quantum Mania, all the shit, right? Like
Quantum Mania, Loki season 2, because we haven't even gotten into Kang yet, and Kang's just a multiverse, villain. Mm-hmm. So we got to have all that as well, and Doctor Strange is next year.
Yep.
So unless we see all that next year as well,
we have all the what if things that are canon.
But also, when you're introducing the multiverse and everything like that, you can now, we're introducing Celestials. Not quite introducing. We're going more into detail about Celestials in the Eternals. Fucking Galactus. We can just use this whole multiverse to bring in all the crazy shit that we had in all the Marvel universe before this just Marvel Cinematic Universe, and also before they had the rights to certain things like, the Fox stuff, X-Men, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, all this different stuff. Now's your chance to just expand it, bring it all in, cut it all down, cut the fat, down to what you want. Mm-hmm. And then you have your perfect sculpture and your perfect layout of what you have, and you just keep going from there. And then you have the Secret Wars, and you have the Secret Invasion. All things that they're probably going to do on Disney Plus and or live action.
Right.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Christmas. It's Marvel's Christmas gift to everyone.
Well, December 17th for us, and people complaining about in Australia, they're getting it on Boxing Day, which is the 25th. They have to, wait. everybody else gets to see it before them.
Well, just everybody in Australia stay off the internet for a couple days.
Yeah.
So it doesn't get spoiled for you.
Yeah.
But I think this movie's going to be excellent. I just look forward to how they're going to begin to play with their multiverse now that they've kind of like, stemmed it all out. And
yeah.
Here we go.
Floodgates are open, and a lot of shit's starting to pour in. And
for sure.
Cool.
For sure.
I'm excited. All right, man. Well, I think that was the news.
The news. That was all the news.
All right. Well, I think we should move into our next segment. What about you? Do you think we should just get into this?
Well, I think we should get into the meat and potatoes of our episode then.
Meat, the potatoes. We have all the things that we need to eat food. You hungry?
I'm starving. Famished.
Oh, good. We got meat and potatoes right here. We are now going to talk about Jack Kirby, the man himself. It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Jack Kirby.
He would have been 104.
104.
And he probably would have been still drawing just as freaking good. But with, more wisdom under his belt at that point. But
well, he was something of a savant when it comes to drawing, actually.
Yeah.
And I don't recall this because I was a little kid, but I have subsequently read this from a number of different people, different accounts, is that he would literally take a blank page and start drawing in detail from one corner and just move to the other corner.
Wow. Right.
Like literally wouldn't, because I draw and, I sketch and resketch and then get the eyes right. And he would literally just start and draw to a finished drawing from one corner to the other.
Well, even Stan Lee said that when he would draw these images, it would literally be like he had already had everything completely planned in his head, and that basically he was tracing. It was like he's just tracing the image in his brain onto the paper. He
was literally just tracing the image from his head onto the paper. Yeah, and it's all he ever thought about. His wife actually took the car keys away from him, and from then on drove, because when their kids were very little, he was so lost in his thoughts, daydreaming about his characters, that he just drove up onto the curb.
Oh, good time.
and got into an accident.
Oh, wow.
And his wife drove him everywhere from then on. He never drove again.
Wow.
Because he literally wouldn't concentrate on pretty much anything. He would sit for 12 hours in his studio and just draw.
That's crazy.
That's all he liked to do.
Smoking on his pipe.
That's got to be kind of rare to start from one corner and go all the way.
Oh, it's savant level.
Well, it's like savant, like Spectrum, like on the Spectrum style, a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, even with some of his interviews and everything like that, he kind of seemed like it wasn't like he was closed in, but it just like it was just this kind of a level of possibly like on the spectrum.
I strongly suspect he was on the spectrum. A lot of his behavior was very, like you said, it's not that he was shy, just sort of withdrawn. Like he didn't really engage people much. His wife pretty much did all the business. In fact, he was ready to forgive Stan Lee. It was his wife that said, absolutely not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they started talking at a convention, and Stan Lee was like, we should do something again, and Jack Kirby was open to it, and Roz came storming up and grabbed him and said, absolutely not.
Oh, wow.
Leave my husband alone.
Shit.
Wow.
Can you imagine what would have happened if that would have been like, the late 70s, early 80s when that happened?
Yeah, late 70s, I'd say, because it was the early 80s when he died?
He died in 94.
Oh, 94. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because when I knew him, I was 7 years old. It was the early 70s.
Okay.
So I was a little kid.
Well, let's talk about that. How did you end up meeting...
How I met Jack Kirby is I was raised Jewish, and Jack Kirby was Jewish, and he lived in my hometown, and we went to the same temple.
Oh, well, then there you go. Okay.
And they were having a special day with Jack Kirby for the kids at the temple, and that might actually be from that day where that Hulk poster comes from.
Okay.
And he did that one for my brother as well.
For what he's referencing right now is Jack Kirby drew a picture of the Hulk and personally signed it to... By the way, we haven't done our due diligence and actually said, hey, our guest today is Jason. He actually knew Jack Kirby when he was younger, and is a downright fan like us. So,
What a great first guest to have.
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, after that, he was such a nice guy, and I don't remember whose idea it was. It might have been my mom's, but just, hey, he lives in town, why don't you call him? And so we did, and he said, yeah, come on over.
Wow.
Back when the Yellow Pages was just something you can actually spell. Yeah, he is in the phone book. Wow, look at that.
So there were a number of times my brother and I would just ride our bicycles over there, and with a backpack of comics, and he would sign them for us.
Wow.
You've got so many people. If there's anybody listening to this podcast right now, who just literally
What? I want to be like, can I go to Jack Kirby's house?
I heard the jaws drop.
that was just to be able to be like, I'm going to go over to a legend's house who can you can sit and you can talk about at that age what you would want to talk about. And he would talk about that.
And he wants to talk about it. It's not like you go over there and he's just like, get off the lawn.
Right.
Get out of here.
Why do you keep coming back here?
Oh,
Take a comic.
So nice. I've learned later in later years that he did that with a lot of neighborhood kids. That he was just a really generous, nice. Eventually, Roz didn't allow him to sign comics for adults anymore because they would just turn around and try to sell it.
Sure.
But she always allowed him to sign for kids.
That's what's up.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
And she was nice too. She would come in and would you boys like cookies and stuff? She was just really accommodating, and they were just so sweet. I did find out later. My friend is a surfer, and he was surfing, and Jack Kirby's daughter was a surfer, and they started talking. And he told her, "Oh, my friend used to go over to your house," and she was like, "Yeah." I got over it, but when I was a kid, I hated that. Because it was like, he's my dad. Why is he hanging out with all these kids?
Everybody else except me. Yeah, I could see that one. Yeah. I'm sure she figured it out when she got older. It's like,
Yeah, when you grow up, you realize, oh, yeah, people loved him.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, well, kind of an icon.
Dad's kind of a big deal.
Which, that being said, he really should have been a lot bigger than he was.
Well, he is huge. I mean,
he is
really
now.
He's by many considered the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But what he should have got was more recognition for his contribution.
Right.
That's why he had the falling out with Stan Lee.
Right.
That was very much a collaboration. And I understand why Stan Lee did what he did, because it's really what made Marvel big was that personal touch Stan Lee brought to it.
Well, yeah.
Was that, I'm the guy, I'm the Marvel guy, and he talked to the fans, and every comic book had a message from Stan Lee, and that was brilliant marketing.
Absolutely.
Brilliant
marketing. At the end of every single one, yeah. And even like when he would, even just draw himself into certain, parts of the comics and everything, or at least have Jack draw him in.
But the early process was in fact, they called it the Marvel method, was very collaborative. It was very much the artists as much as the writers that were creating everything. Yeah. And so a lot of artists got sort of bent out of shape about that. Steve Ditko got mad about it. I think Gil Kane, maybe.
I was talking last night, I was thinking of kind of like the Bob Kane, Bill Finger with Batman.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no one knows about Bill Finger. Mm-hmm. But did you see the documentary?
It's a little bit of it, yeah.
It's a great documentary.
Just the overall image of what Bob Kane put out as Batman, and then Bill Finger was like, "Oh God, no! Oh God, no!" Like the red outfit with the black tights, and then the robber's mask, and then the bat wings coming out with the blonde hair, and he's just sitting there like.
The dark image of Batman is so iconic. It just wouldn't have worked without it. It's what makes him one of the greatest superheroes of all time.
Right.
It's that, it's why I think he's kind of better than Superman, because Superman's too anodyne. He's just too good. He's too powerful.
For me, it's you have this guy Bruce Wayne who's he's a guy. It's that they make that joke. They make that joke, and it's like, "What's your superpower?" He's like, "I'm rich." In the movie, and it's just like he's just a guy and he's in this suit, but he doesn't have any powers, and he's just driven by.
You can also make a good argument that he's got borderline personality disorder too.
Oh, he's suffering from post-traumatic stress, and all sorts of stuff, man. Like, there it is, yay! It's the day. It's the visit. They always know. They always know.
No, it's one of those where right now I'm wondering if they're doing a circling. this can all be edited out, or they can listen to this if they really want us to keep this.
Maybe
in,
maybe they're fans.
People like helicopters.
they're sitting over getting the feed right now. Like, they're talking about Jack Kirby.
They have a guest. This
Oh
is
my
gonna
God.
this is great.
He said he went to his house. That's not fair. Let's ruin their podcast. I don't like that.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Fire up the bird.
Oh, this is kind of funny. My brother and I, at one time, we wanted to show him our appreciation, so we painted him. I painted a picture of Captain America, I think.
Nice.
My brother did the Hulk, maybe. And when I think back on how absolutely dreadful they probably were, he was very like, "Oh, thank
I'm
you
sure
so
he done
much.
it,
I'm
yeah.
going to hang these up."
That's
They
what's
probably went behind a shelf somewhere.
He even also talked about, we were watching a documentary earlier, about how you would talk to kids about, like, oh, this is great, and you know what I would do here, too, and kind of be like, this is what I would, and show them.
The quick tips from the master, man.
Yeah,
That's,
to have an art class from Jack Kirby. Oh, darn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And even the artists at this point say that you go to his stuff to do reference work when it comes to
Oh, yeah.
just his overall style. When one artist said that, I had corners in my room and he had no corners. Everything was a giant landscape practically on every page. It was all panoramic. So,
Well, if you look at the artwork in comics before Jack Kirby, it looked a lot more static. He's the one that really created the leaping out of the page look.
yeah, it was straight up comic strips.
Yeah.
The stuff you would see in a newspaper.
Yeah, think like Buck Rogers' Sunday comic strip, like
Right.
that kind of thing, where it's
Right.
all just very static looking. That sort of leaping 3D out of the page thing, that was really created by Jack Kirby, and now everyone does it.
Right.
So he really is the person that changed the whole scene.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still to this day, when you look at other artists attempting, jumping out at the page, one name comes to mind, Rob Liefeld.
Well, that's how you do it wrong.
When it comes to certain things, sorry, Rob, not
Yeah,
really,
right,
but you
right.
draw terrible feet.
Yeah, the
just-
worst feat. That I just get the feeling Rob Liefeld can't even spell anatomy.
I
I
after that cover of Captain America, I wonder how he still was getting work.
Well, here's the thing. It's okay. I mean, Kirby himself was highly stylized. There was nothing realistic about Kirby's work.
Right.
But it somehow had its own like a self-consistent realism to it that, to me, Liefeld doesn't have. It just
Right.
looks like someone who can't quite draw, who doesn't really understand anatomy. And
I think the person who's gotten the closest to Jack Kirby's work in tribute while still doing their own style would be Bruce Timm with the animated series, kind of doing a combination of almost Jack Kirby and then Max Fleischer style art.
Max
Just-
Fleischer, interesting.
Like the original Superman cartoon.
Okay, I forgot he
serial.
did Superman. I'm thinking of Betty Boop and Popeye.
Right.
I forgot that he did Super. Those are brilliant Superman. Actually, some of the best animation,
Oh yeah,
comic book animation
I believe they
in
got
history.
They got awards just for the fact that it was they would film something and then just draw right over that. I mean,
Rotoscoping.
Rotoscoping, right. And a lot of people go, well, that's cheating. Well, it's like, well, you still have to add everything else to it. You can't just be like, look, it's done. Isn't that great? It's like, no, you got to add the lighting, you got to add the
It's
color and everything.
Just like wearing, a green suit for CGI, they still have to do stuff over that.
Right. Right.
I found it interesting watching the documentary you were showing me, where a lot of a good number of the artists were saying how when they first saw Jack Kirby's work, they didn't like it. They thought it was too blocky, and then as they started to kind of draw, and it's like, wait, let me go back, and it's like, oh, it's actually quite good. I found that
Right,
interesting.
yeah, the guy who said it was like there's like some squiggly lines and I don't understand what that is, and then realizing it's a kneecap. And then it's like, oh wait, it's anatomy.
That's the thing about Kirby. It was the economy of line. He didn't need to be realistic. And you know what you're looking at because it all comes together cohesively as a whole.
Right.
There's nothing that says it has to recreate reality exactly. I mean, Picasso hardly recreates. It's just the style works cohesively. It's somebody who has developed a very distinct and personal style.
Yeah, sure.
That's where, to me, he's different than Liefeld. I don't consider Liefeld stylized so much as
Lucky?
doesn't really work. Yeah, Lucky.
I'm sorry, I don't get it. I never, even my brother and I, when we were kids, we would pick up certain stuff and go, how My brother at the time, he was getting, better and better. But when you look at that and you go, how does this guy get work? When there's so many other great artists out there, it just, maybe it was the fact that he was able to maybe pump stuff out. Maybe that's where he compares to Jack Kirby, because they said that Jack Kirby could do something like 5 pages a day.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas comic artists can't even do 5 pages a week at this point.
No, Kirby could pump out not only was he doing multiple comics at a time every given month, he was also doing a crap load of covers, too.
Right.
He was constantly pumping out work. But funny thing, another connection to comics, when they broke off to create Image Comics, at that time, I was dating the girl who was the secretary to the owners of Malibu Graphics.
Oh, shit.
And Malibu Graphics is the one that teamed with Image.
Right.
So I actually have a Spawn number 2 or something that's uncut from the printers. Like it still has all the printer lines around it and stuff. That's probably worth something.
I would say so.
Wicked.
Yeah.
And Malibu Graphics is actually, they're the ones that created Men in Black.
Oh, that's what's up.
There it is. Okay.
But those guys, when they left Marvel, they didn't have the capital or the infrastructure, so Malibu Graphics made an agreement to partner with them, and then Image would go off on their own in like 2 or 3 years or something. Right. So those original Malibu Graphics / Image comics, I have a bunch of those.
Nice. That's what's up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dig it.
Indeed.
Dig it.
You want to see his signature?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
Absolutely.
Best wishes, Jack Kirby.
Check that out.
Yeah.
That is his signature. That
That's
Y. It
nice.
doesn't get any more distinct with that Y.
I even have a comic, this is kind of funny, because I would just give him a stack to sign. Mm-hmm. So I have a comic that, I don't know how it got in there, but he signed it, and it's not even his artwork.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That might be worth something just because it's odd.
Yeah, I was about to say, just like, he signed something that didn't even have to do with him, that I think that might sell.
That's a really clean signature,
Oh,
too.
no, I would never get rid of these. That they have more, honestly, they have more emotional meaning to me than monetary.
Yeah, sure.
Because, I can't tell you how nice he was. He was just so sweet. I have a very vivid memory of that part of my childhood, of how exciting it was to go be at Jack Kirby's house and have him sign stuff for us. This is, what is this? Captain America and the Falcon, number 171.
Nice.
And this one is Captain America number 200, also signed.
Guest starring the Black Panther. Do you think they bring that? Well, he's Captain America now, but you think they ever thought about bringing that outfit into the MCU?
I think that they thought about it for a very, very, very short time and then said no.
If anything, they would have just done a nod to it like they did with Luke Cage and
They kind of did a nod with
Scarlet Witch.
with Redbird. That was supposed to be an actual,
Right. Red Wing?
Well, Red Wing,
yeah.
So, they kind of did with the red coloring and everything like that and the wings, they kind of did that.
But unfortunately, I couldn't find it in my mess of an attic, but I have an entire box of comics signed by him.
Right.
Black Panther number 1, Fantastic Four number 34, I think, or something like that.
Right.
A whole bunch of, I can't even remember, Eternals. I think I have Eternals number 1 or 2 signed by him.
Which is
about to become worth a lot more money.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Sure.
Definitely when you find it, I would find a way to take it to like maybe a comic grade or something like that, or get some of those like the hard plastic.
What I'll probably do with all these
those.
things actually is frame them and hang them.
Like with the hard casing that they have. That make sure that the lighting doesn't.
It'll protect it and put it on display at the same time.
Right.
So that's probably what I'll end up doing, especially with these. I should show you this first. This was came out in 1976. I was 11 years old at the time, I believe, but it was a giant size Captain America Bicentennial Battles.
What?
And this is what's great about it is where he signed it, because the comic says Captain America is qualified to ride the range of 2 centuries, blah, blah, blah. He will make the journey, but not without the help of... It's supposed to say Mr. Buddha, but before that he wrote in Jack Kirby.
I love it.
Nice.
So this is... I also have a giant size 2001, and I have the weirdest memory of this being signed, but it's not. It must have been my brother's copy, because I have this vague memory of it being signed right here in the big energy blast.
Right.
But not my copy, so I guess I didn't get this one signed. Oh well. Maybe I'll steal my brother's.
We'll be sure. We'll be sure
Maybe you
to
have it in your other box.
We'll be sure to
You'd
snap
like
some
to look up, you
pictures
can't find.
we'll be sure to snap some pictures and we'll put them up on the
on page,
Facebook and
definitely,
on
yeah.
the page so you guys can see what it is that we're seeing.
This is the real
It's
gem.
wonderful.
Unfortunately, the outside envelope is messed up from being decades in an attic. But one time when we went over there, he asked his wife, he said, Roz, do we still have any of those Gods posters? She said, oh yeah, there's a box of them. It was something he had done for a local business,
So it was like a
like a promotional thing
Like a
that
car or
never got
something?
used.
Yeah.
So there are some copies floating around, but they got to be pretty rare. And it's this 4-poster set. He signed each one individually of Norse gods.
Wow. I'm just gonna break the camera out now.
Wow. That's crazy.
Okay, I've seen a picture of this.
Dig that, man. Yeah, they showed a picture of that on the little dock though. But that's a signed.
That's a trip.
That's Balder. Mm-hmm. Then Honer. Or Honir. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Hunar. No. Sorry.
Oh man,
Dude.
And Sigurd.
I mean, look at that.
yeah.
Look at that. It's
yeah.
genuine 3D. It's coming right off the page.
That's what he mastered. That comic book look of the action. Everything's action, you know.
Check that.
Heimdall.
Check that.
Okay, well, Heimdall's now an important character, so
Yeah.
Indeed.
that makes that more valuable.
Indeed.
This is a trip. I mean,
Now that's a cape.
Yeah.
That's a cape.
that's a former animal.
What is that? What is that cloth? Great. I use the whole animal.
This is beautiful. What is it, velvet?
But there can't be that many of these out there, really, and certainly not signed.
Yeah, no, I
Sure,
would not
yeah.
think so.
Each one. That's what's great about it. He didn't just sign the outside, he signed each poster.
No, these right here, the protective frame and all that, would be also a damn cool thing to see on your wall. You know.
Yeah, man.
Yes, I'm definitely going to frame these for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you might want to take a picture of the
Oh yeah.
envelope, too.
With all those Kirby dots, how would I not?
Yeah, that's some
And that right
Kirby
there,
dottage
folks,
right there.
That would be one of his signature.
Yeah, that almost
with the
looks like
Kirby
Galactus,
dots?
but it's not.
That's what I'm saying. It had that like, where's Silver Surfer? He's like, should be by the foot.
Yeah, Communications Unlimited, whatever, in Newbury Park, California. I don't know what this was for, but I don't think it ever really got used. So,
Wow.
but yeah, he moved to Thousand Oaks, California, which is right next to Newbury Park. Let me think. Early 70s, late
Right.
60s, something like that, because he lived in New York before that. He lived in Thousand Oaks,
Thousand Oaks, right.
on Kevington Drive. I still remember. In fact, I drove up there a couple years ago to see if I could recognize the house, and I couldn't. So I went back and did some research and found a picture of them standing in front of their house, Jack and Roz, and then drove back up and found it, but it had been added on to since then. They'd done some architectural changes,
Right.
but I could tell that's the house. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but thinking Roz died, maybe 5, 6 to 10 years after Jack.
So early 2000s.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah. If he was 94, then she was either just before 2000 or just after.
His artwork is great. His artwork is super great.
When it comes to what he did before, I mean, like with his military background, they had him being a map creator.
Yeah, he fought in World
Battle
War
of the
II.
Bulge. He was in Battle
Yeah,
of the Bulge.
Battle of the Bulge, yeah. He was quite a scrapper in his youth, actually. Little guy, but grew up in the streets of New York.
Sounds very much like one of his favorite, if not his favorite character,
Was the Thing.
Right.
His favorite, he always said that the Thing was the one he most identified with.
Right.
That was kind of like him. In fact, I sent you that picture. There's a story about how he drew a picture of the Thing
Oh, the
in
Hanukkah
a prayer shawl and a yarmulke.
Yeah, the Hanukkah
with a
card,
with
yeah.
a holding the Torah.
Yeah, and it had the
And-
the menorah behind him.
Yeah, it had the
Right.
menorah behind him.
Right.
It said Happy Hanukkah, and he
Right.
did it. He did it for a friend, probably someone from the same temple, so it might have been someone I knew even.
Right.
And that person, and eventually, I think that person died, and the picture made its way back to him. and he ended up hanging it in the hallway of his house. Okay. And whenever people would say, "What's this all about?" he'd go, "Oh, it's a Jewish thing."
Love it. Love it. Which they, even in the comic books, eventually made Ben Grimm
Jewish. Yes, he didn't. He always thought of him as Jewish.
Right.
But they actually eventually made it canon. Someone else did. Yeah.
Right.
You know, it would have been really nice. Would have been really nice, again, had they done this shit when he was still alive. You know, it's like...
Well, Jack Kirby was strongly, back in the 60s, for civil rights.
Right.
And he wanted to when he first wanted to put Black Panther on a cover, they made him put a mask on him because they couldn't put a black person on the cover. And Jack Kirby was like, yeah. And Jack Kirby was like, screw that. So he intentionally made him a very noble character for that reason.
Good. Yeah. It's like, all right, you're not going to... Okay, well, then I'm going to one-up you here, and you're going to hate this too, so fuck you.
Well,
yeah.
This is a great story. Charles Schultz that did Charlie Brown.
Right.
When he introduced Franklin, major newspapers refused to carry it as long as Franklin was in it. Wow. Charles Schultz said, fine, don't carry my strip, I don't care. And so they relented, and they said, okay, well, we'll carry the strip, but as long as you don't show them in school together. So the next strip that came out, he showed them in school together.
Yeah. Sounds like Eminem. It's like, you can't say that on your record. Oh, okay. And then he makes a record even worse. And then he say, well, you can't do this. But then if you say, I can't do this, I'm going to do that next. I dig that type of thing. Where
it's just like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. They used to be told that Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't come in the front with them, and they'd say, then we're not playing here. And they would say, well, okay.
Yeah.
Because, when you have clout, you should use it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. For sure.
Fuck racism. You know, it's bullshit, it's ignorance, and I'm going to do a little toast here.
Yeah.
You good? You got some in there?
Yes, a little bit.
All right.
Yes.
You want more? All right. Here's to Jack Kirby, and here's to Chadwick Boseman.
Absolutely.
Chadwick Boseman.
1 year
rest
today.
in peace.
Yeah.
That was sad.
Miss you, King.
I can't believe how stoic he was. Like, nobody knew. Nobody knew.
He got diagnosed in 2016 and just kept working the whole time. And not only that, but just
right after Civil
dove
War.
right into it and was just like, I'm just going to do everything I can.
Mad respect.
Yeah. Was filming, I think, The Five Bloods and Ma Rainey's while doing chemo and surgery, and just kept showing up. And man.
Yeah. Did you see
and look fit as hell.
Ma Rainey?
Haven't seen Ma Rainey yet. I need to.
There's a scene in it where when he is, I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a scene in it where he is literally like screaming at God. And
think there might be some more subtext.
Dude, when he's doing it, you go, man, this guy's a fabulous actor. Sure. And you knowing what what we all know now. It was a hell of a heavy scene to watch. I definitely recommend that movie overall because that movie is fabulous.
Sure.
It was just a start to finish, just watching it like, holy shit, these actors are just amazing. Everybody in it did a fabulous job. But that scene, and having now, going back to, connection with Jack Kirby, Chadwick going on Jack Kirby's birthday, and, some people don't believe in there's an afterlife and what may be next, and who knows. But if there is, those two are having a sip of something right now. So,
well, I don't believe in it, but it's still a nice thing to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to imagine.
Right.
That,
Right.
I mean, coincidences are inevitable.
Right. Let's talk about atheism, shall we?
Oh, I studied philosophy at a deep level, so I could go for hours if you really wanted to.
But unfortunately, I have to edit. So, we can do a separate episode. Go ahead.
I was going to say, the falling out between Jack Kirby and Stanley, was it made very public, or is it something that guy found out later, or was there like a kind of a major point where it's like, this is...
Yeah, it became public in so much as, comics weren't as big back then, so it was more of a culty thing.
Sure.
But amongst those in the know, it was public.
Okay.
He went over to DC after a while.
Yes, he went to DC, and then he left DC and came back to Marvel.
Right.
In fact, he went to DC and he created the New Gods.
Right.
Then he came back to Marvel and created the Eternals. So that basic idea was clearly on his mind a lot. That he always liked to borrow from mythology. Thor was his idea. That was not Stan Lee's idea. That was Jack Kirby's idea, because he was intensely into mythology.
Well, yeah. I mean, just naming most of his characters off of
Yeah.
you know mythological characters and just slightly changing the name. You know.
Yeah, like, well, the Eternals. Those are all
Icarus and
Icarus and what else?
Gilgamesh.
Circe, Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Especially with new gods.
Well, he wanted to create a modern mythology.
Right.
I mean, similar to J.R.R. Tolkien, actually. Tolkien created a modern mythology
Right.
that's very based on Catholicism. I mean, when you really delve into the weeds with Tolkien, you realize, oh, this is basically just Catholicism.
Right. Well, yeah, and then also looking at Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Well, yeah, they were friends.
Right. Yeah.
But
Didn't they
the
make
problem
a
with
bet?
C.S. Lewis is it was so just way too blatantly obvious.
Oh, yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Aslan
Tolkien,
and-
you wouldn't
yeah.
know unless someone told you. And then you're like, oh, okay, I see the parallels.
Right.
But C.S. Lewis was slapping you over the head with it. You
Right.
know?
I will
love
sacrifice myself and then come back the next day.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
so
no.
blatant. I loved those books when I was a kid, and I didn't get it as a kid. When I reread them as an adult, I was like, oh, Jesus, this is like Christian propaganda.
Right. Very much so.
Writers love their initials, and C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien and
It's easier to
R.R.
write out.
Martin.
R.R.
Like,
It's easier to write out, especially if you're going to be doing autographs. Don't have to do your full name.
But he never made, as much money. All the things he created, he lived pretty modestly. He never made a lot of money that he really should have made.
That's what I'm
Sure.
saying.
sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Same thing with the creators of Superman.
Right.
They
Yeah.
basically sold the idea because they had to eat
Right.
for, like, I don't know, $100 or so, whatever it was back then.
Wow.
And were it not for, I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, Steranko. I think it was Jim Steranko. Was it Steranko? Who was the artist? There was a comic book artist who made it public, said this is screwed up, that these guys who created Superman can't afford their medical bills.
Right.
One of them's getting evicted, and this just isn't right. So he made it public, and it became such a big deal that it basically shamed who made the Superman with Chris Reeves.
Richard Donner.
The company. Warner Brothers, was it?
It was Warner Brothers.
Warner
yeah.
Brothers. He basically shamed Warner Brothers into paying them out and giving them a lifetime stipend for the rest of their
As
lives.
well, they should have.
Yeah.
And credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Credit in the movie.
Yeah. And we mentioned this in the Richard Donner episode. They pulled Richard Donner into the back room of someplace at the theater they were doing the premiere at, and sitting there was Simon and Schuster, and they basically stood up.
Wait,
brought him
Simon
over.
and Schuster.
I mean,
That's a publishing company.
not Simon and Schuster. Sorry. Hey, this is what happens when we drink whiskey.
Who is it? I can't remember their names either.
That's what I love about editing. Is that right now none of this will exist?
Oh, Neil Adams. I think it was Neil Adams. I think he was the artist that made it public.
Oh, okay.
Basically, fought for them and won. They got paid out.
Yeah, as they should.
As they should.
As they should. For
I mean,
sure.
one of the most successful characters in the history of literature.
Siegel and Schuster.
Huh?
Jerry Siegel and Joe
Siegel.
Schuster.
You said Simon.
Oh, did I say
Siegel.
Simon?
Yeah, you said Simon. Yeah.
Excuse
Very
me,
close.
folks.
Very close.
So sorry.
Gotta-
Whiskey.
They call themselves nerds, man. Listen, man.
When you think of the billions of
too.
dollars that character's probably generated, and these guys can't pay their medical bills, there's something wrong.
It's
There's something wrong.
ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Especially since, for a time, it was, recognizable figures were Superman and Mickey Mouse. All around the world, everybody would know that S. Everybody would know Mickey Mouse's figure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It, just like everybody knows the cross, and everybody knows
That's right.
the Star of David. It's just these things became symbols that everybody saw in their everyday life.
I have a special place in my heart for people that stand up for themselves and others, and for Neil Adams to do that was just tremendous. It reminds me of Tom Petty, the story of Tom Petty when he basically did not own his catalog and he didn't have a lot of freedom. And he said, I want to start my own record label and go off on my own. And they said, no, you're under contract. Absolutely not. And Tom Petty, tired of getting screwed, said, I will never write another song as long as I live. Screw you. And they got scared because he was a hit maker.
Sure.
And they thought, he's really going to do this. He needs this. And they relented. They said, well, we'll have a subsidiary label that's yours and we'll give you your past catalog.
Right.
So he actually won.
That's cool.
I love those stories. I love when people stand up and,
Yeah, I love it,
Prince.
too.
Prince too.
Right.
The grapes, like, no, we own your name. Like, no, you
No, you don't.
don't. What do you mean?
That's my name.
Fine. I'm the artist, formerly known as. Here's a symbol. Here you go. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it when that shit works. Didn't really work for me at Disney, but that's all right. I was the only guy going, we need shade over here. They're like, well, we're not talking about it. I'm not saying anything. And it's like,
Oh, so it's just like fear.
That's right. So when it comes to Jack Kirby, your favorite is the Thing, right?
When I was a kid, I would say my favorite characters were the Thing, probably first. I like the one comic I always had to go out and get every month was 2-in-1, which was Thing teamed up with somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Then the Hulk. I loved the Hulk. I always liked the bricks. I like the big, strong ones.
I couldn't tell. Go ahead. Yeah.
But then I also liked the more cerebral science fiction-y ones. So Warlock was one of my favorite characters, and Silver Surfer.
Right.
So I'm really excited that they're someday going to get around to introducing Warlock in the MCU. I mean, I know they've been leading up to it.
That's got to be for the next Guardians.
Guardians, it has to be.
because
Yeah.
you don't go with that teaser.
Right.
And then
'Cause
just be
that's-
like,
that's-
we're not going to talk about
Adam
it.
Warlock, that's supposed to be the guy,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He's supposed to be the Thing in the gold sarcophagus at the
Yeah.
end. Of the
Yes,
movie?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a great character. Now, one of the comics I remember most vividly from when I was a kid, and I haven't read it since, but I still remember the storyline. I just thought it was such a great storyline. Was this something was destroying stars and killing off entire worlds, and Warlock was spending the whole time trying to figure out what was causing this, and it was some entity. And it turns out by the end of the comic, there's some guy in a coma who has this power that he can just blow up stars with his mind.
Wow.
And Warlock never solves it. Warlock's frustrated the whole comic. He can't figure it out.
Wow.
But the comic ends with the guy's nurse shooting him, and they're dragging the nurse away, and he's saying, "I saved the universe! I saved the universe!" And they're like, "Yeah, come on."
That's heavy.
That's
It's like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
just-
totally like
Heavy.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I just saw the episode in my head. Like they could do that live action, or they can even do that animated. That's a fabulous story, right?
I just read a little short story. Stephen King came out with another collection of short stories, and he has one that's kind of similar. Where in the story, it starts off with it feels like this apocalyptic kind of thing, where like all these bad things are happening, like even like stars and stuff are getting destroyed, and
Right.
nobody knows why. And then it turns out it's all a play about like how everybody has like their own world in their heads, and this guy is dying. So as he's dying, like the characters in his head, their world is being destroyed. It's a whole.
It's
Pretty, spoilers, but but yeah, it's because it's when you first start off, it just starts off like you don't know what's happening.
Right.
By the end of the story, you're like, you see the kind of return of like, oh wow, that's crazy. So that's I dig that, man.
Again, that'd be a great TV show.
Yeah.
Right there. That's a series. That's 10 episodes right there. You get to episode 9 and 10 where you're then figuring out what's going on. That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And that's a Stephen King?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah, it came out.
I usually find his stuff kind of, but
Well,
that's
he's-
actually
you
You don't like Christine?
He gets really. He can get really.
Yeah, like a haunted car, a haunted
Yeah.
dog. Yeah, okay. But that's actually decent.
yeah. It's really neat. I really like Stephen King. He gets very wordy. Like he can spend 3 to 4 to 5 pages describing just what this table looks like and what's on it, and you're like, okay, well, what's going on, Stephen?
Right.
It's very. But like when he gets into his short stories, like he sometimes he gets really into his bag where he's like, nope. Here you go. I'm going to start you off like this, and it's one of the ones he knocks it out of the park. It's really
I would
cool.
say the same thing. George R.R. Martin. I love the Game of Thrones series. I've read them all, and kind of pissed that he doesn't seem to be releasing anymore. But
Oh, he's working
man,
on it, right?
that dude can spend
Supposedly.
5 pages describing the food in a banquet, and you're like, I can just picture him like salivating at the computer. Go, oh, cream puffs. Oh, boy.
Makes you wonder what the Red Wedding scene was like in there. How detailed was that?
I just realized, are you wearing a Wakanda necklace?
So yeah, I
That's awesome.
got
Where did you
yeah.
get that?
There's a buddy of mine who I've met at fair, and he made one kind of similar with like these other kind of horns on and everything, and I was just like, man, I really dig that. And he's like, well, okay. He's like, well, I'm glad you like it. And then one day he was just like, so I made this for you. It's
That's
George.
very
You have
cool.
It, and
That's
it's
very
Who
cool.
made that?
Nick McGill.
No shit.
Yeah, man.
No shit.
Shout out Nick McGill. He made this, man. Yeah.
And he needs to start making more.
That's what I told him. I was like, bro, like you could do a guest artist. You
booth
could
for
have
a
a
weekend.
booth. Just
Yeah, I'm not into jewelry, and I would totally wear that. That's
Right.
This
cool.
is my favorite piece of jewelry that I have. I'm just like, this is. I'm not because I'm not big into it either. But I was like, no, I'm gonna wear this.
All right. Well, Nick, it seems you got somebody to that will want to possibly purchase a necklace from you. So maybe you might want to start thinking about making more and getting a booth going.
I'm not a person that like searches for compliments. I don't really care. But like, just about every time I go out and plug, there's always at least one person like, hey man, I like that. It's like, yeah, right on. I get you, man. I dig it. You seen the Fantastic Four fan. What have you thought about kind of the movies up to this point?
Which movies?
The Fantastic
The
Four.
the only
horrible.
ones we got.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Like, being that the Thing was my favorite character, I am just practically insulted by their depictions of the Thing up to now.
Okay.
That's why I can't wait for the MCU to take it over and finally give us a real Thing, because
Right.
it's just been awful up till now. I suspect MCU is going to do it right. They tend to nail it.
Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah. I mean,
How
you know,
can
there
they
are
not?
there are those movies I like more than others. My favorite MCU to date's probably Thor Ragnarok. I just
Nice.
think that's
It's really an
Perfect
easy
movie.
one to watch over and over.
it really is.
It really is, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The reason to me that Marvel works and DC doesn't is that at its base, comics are silly. I mean, there's, juiced up guys running around in tights fighting crime. It's a silly concept.
Right.
To acknowledge that, you get past it as the viewer. And Marvel acknowledges it. They give you a nod and a wink, like, we get this is silly.
Right.
And they make little jokes, and they acknowledge it, and then they get on with the story. DC treats it like it's all serious and deep and dark, and it seems silly as hell to me.
Sure.
It's the same reason I'm a big fan of musicals. I really like the classic American style of musical for the same reason. It has a tongue-in-cheek quality, like
Sure.
we know it's silly to just start breaking out in song.
Yeah.
Whereas Andrew Lloyd Webber never did it for me because it's just too serious. It's
Right.
it seems silly to me.
Like stuff like Seven Brothers, and,
Yeah.
and the Court Jester.
Yeah,
Those are-
the Court Jester. I love the Court
Yeah.
Jester. Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to acknowledge even
Yeah.
when they're even not even singing in their characters, like this is all just a giant hokey stage play.
Yeah,
and we're just having fun with it.
There's a tongue-in-cheek quality to it.
Yeah.
So that they take you on the ride with them, like so
Right.
wink and a nod. As opposed to DC just seems so not self-aware in a lot of their movies. Like they don't
Batman
get it
v
that this is
Superman?
silly. Yeah.
It
so-
was just too serious. I mean, I enjoy
I mean,
it.
just Superman and what they've done with kind of Superman in general.
Well,
you know
it
what
took
I
me a
mean?
while to grow on the new series. We're going off top subject with Jack Kirby, but that's okay.
That's what we do.
But,
That's what we do.
It took me a while for me to enjoy the new Superman and Batman and everything like that. What really made me kind of start enjoying it more was the fact that it was one person's vision of comic books as opposed to it's DC and Warner Brothers putting out a whole new style. It was like they tried this and went, okay, people aren't liking this, and then changed it to something that they thought was more Marvel with, stuff like the original Suicide Squad when they came in and took over that.
That was not more Marvel. That was just a mess.
Right. They were trying to do Guardians of the Galaxy at that point.
They didn't.
And, no, yeah, exactly. It's like when you have like 6 songs within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, it just seems like you don't know what you're doing. It seems like you can't make up your mind of what the tone's going to be and what it's
Well,
like.
that's another thing. You need a cohesive plan. The movie has to make sense from start to finish, whereas DC just seems like they're kind of trying stuff out. You
Right.
know, it doesn't seem cohesive.
Yeah,
It's, so even the Zack Snyder cut, admittedly much better than the theatrical cut,
Absolutely.
but still kind of a mess. Still kind of really just didn't make a lot of sense and just seemed kind of made it up as they went along.
Well, especially with the Martian Manhunter, like that whole thing was like, why are you going and talking to Lois as Ma Kent, and then like right when you walk out the door, just like I'm going to turn into the Martian Manhunter. You haven't even left the building. And she could all of a sudden just be like, oh, I have to take my trash out. And then Ma Kent's just this green fucking alien standing there. So,
well, especially when you think about, like, the end of I think it was the end of Man of Steel, when, like, he's talking to him, you know, he's like, breaking down my satellites and blah, 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 blah. It's like, you figure he could just go up, now that the whole movie's ended, it's like, just go up in space and just be like, oh, hey, by the way, you know, Soups, I'm Martian Manhunter, like, you know, just have that whole conversation.
So that was a dumb little addition, but they were also, Martian Manhunter wasn't supposed to be the guy at the end of the movie. It was supposed to be Green Lantern. It was supposed to be Jon Stewart. And he was supposed to come down and talk to Bruce Wayne. But, yeah, well, that didn't...
I'm hoping to see a turnaround because second Suicide Squad, much better.
Yeah.
I thought Wonder Woman was the first one. Was it the second one was kind of a mess?
I still haven't seen it.
And you're looking forward to the next Aquaman movie, right?
Permission to come aboard.
I did not get like. Is this Aquaman or the Little Mermaid? What are they doing here?
It was both.
I did not like that movie at all.
Shout out to Underwater Octopus playing drums, though. Love it. Love it.
At that moment, I went, oh, okay. This is the movie we're watching. I mean, it's like you're watching it going, I don't know about this. And then the moment you see the octopus playing drums, I went, all right, well, talk about setting a tone. When you see an octopus playing drums in a live-action movie...
They had an ant playing drums and the other one, man. Somebody's got to be playing drums.
Right.
Animals got to be playing drums.
They did get the casting right, though. I mean, I did like Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And they usually don't. Like, I still can't accept Ben Affleck as Batman.
I can't accept Amber Heard as an actress.
Yeah.
When talk
or
about
as a
like,
person.
About like luck and making it, and I don't get it why.
Yeah.
The first time you see her in the Justice League movie that they put out in 2017, she's terrible. And then you see her in this remake, or not remake, but the Zack Snyder version, and she's trying to do a British accent, and she's even fucking worse. So it's like...
Didn't think she could do that, huh? I didn't think you could actually be worse.
Right? Because you already saw her in Aquaman and going like, oh, this is intolerable. And then you get to see her trying to do what she did before that with a British accent and going, no, just stop. And I think we talked about it. It's like, dude, you were fucking dating Johnny Depp, who still talks with a British accent even in interviews. So it's like... Well, how could you not get that
Talent
down?
is not sexually transmitted?
No, it's not. No, it is not.
Yeah, she's not even a good liar. Have you watched those interviews where the police are interviewing? Like, she's so obviously lying.
Oh.
Yeah. We were talking about Jack Kirby, right?
I did have so you two probably know like comic book artists better than me. Who would you all say is like, if there's someone who's out there that's like studied Jack Kirby, like who, I mean, probably can't get like close to what he did, but if there's someone who's like work most maybe reminds you of Jack Kirby,
I would say
Bruce
Tim.
Bruce Timm.
Some of his stuff that he does when it comes to just like still frame stuff, animated is going to be different because he's going to put down the style and then you're going to hire other animators to do, the rest of the cartoon. But just plain on old drawings, just still frame photo or like pictures that he does, it's got a very Jack Kirby style, especially with the boxing of the mouth and the jaw, the way he does the mouth and that little lip line at the bottom, the chin, the very distinct butt chin that Jack Kirby would add to a lot of his...
A lot of butt chin.
A lot of butt chin. But it was just that chiseled jaw, that, that look, and Bruce Timm definitely got that down, while adding his own style. Like he was very influenced by Max Fleischer, but he was heavily influenced by Jack Kirby. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that's exactly what it is, but by the look of his art.
Well, I'm not really familiar with more modern comic book artists because I was into it as a kid. But I will, if you want to know some great classic comic book artists.
Sure.
Bernie Wrightson. Have you ever seen his work? Oh,
if I
you
have,
don't know Bernie Wrightson?
If I have, I wouldn't know.
Bernie Wrightson was so good.
What did he do?
He did some of the original Swamp Thing.
Okay. Then I probably have seen it.
Yeah, you've probably seen his stuff.
Okay.
Really just tremendously good comic book art. Also, Barry Windsor Smith.
That name sounds familiar.
He did some early Conan comic books, and he went on to just do his own artwork, which was very much in the pre-Raphaelite style.
Okay.
That he just sold. It wasn't comic book; it was just artwork.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
Those two were two of my favorites when I was a kid, and they just really are tremendously good artists.
Unbelievable.
Is that which one is it?
Bernie Wrightson?
Yeah. He did a lot of horror stuff. I think that's from his Frankenstein.
It looks like it, yeah. Just the amount of just detail and the shadowing.
Yeah,
and everything.
he was amazing.
You can almost see the kind of like the Swamp Thing, kind of like a look to
Look
to it. Yeah,
he was just
really
incredible.
That's nuts. I can see how a lot of people would be influenced by that. Because
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
But that's when I was a kid. So these are old time classic. Barry Windsor Smith also.
Sure.
Look up Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah.
Some frickin' amazing artwork. In fact, Neil Adams was quite good. The one that helped out Simon & Schuster.
He did Superman stuff, you said?
Yeah, he did a lot of Superman. Okay. He worked for both Marvel and DC, I think, Neil Adams.
Okay.
Did a lot of really good work. Not quite as stylistic. I mean, there's something about Bernie Wrightson and Barry Windsor Smith that's just art. I mean, it's not even comic book art. It's just art.
Yeah.
Whereas Neil Adams was very comic booky, but it's good comic book art. It's really good. And of course, what's his name from Image that did Spawn? He's quite good. He's the only
Todd McFarlane.
The only Image artist I liked, actually. I thought the others were kind of mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I like Todd McFarlane a lot.
Yeah.
You weren't a fan of Rob Liefeld? Oh, wait, we already established that.
Yeah, I already established
we
that.
talked about that. Never mind.
Here's a cool question, I think.
Windsor Smith.
Windsor.
If there's a character like that Jack Kirby didn't work on, that you would like to see his interpretation of how he would draw it,
I think along the same lines. I was just thinking about
who
that.
would you think that who would you like to see his art on a character?
Did Jack Kirby ever do Superman?
He did Jimmy Olsen. He did a run of Jimmy Olsen, so he did draw Superman.
I would like to see those, but
Yeah, because Superman was the first thing that came to mind, and I thought, he did draw Superman.
Okay.
So, but in the Jimmy Olsen run. What would be a good... Oh, well, Thanos. Thanos would be perfect.
because he did Darkseid and all the New Gods and everything, but he never touched Thanos, did he?
That's another artist I really liked. He's the one that did the really good Warlock run. He helped with the movies a bit, actually. What the hell's his name? I'm blanking on his name. I really liked his work a lot. He took Warlock over. He wasn't the originator, but his run made it great. Jim Starlin.
Okay.
Jim Starlin.
Okay. Yeah.
Jim Starlin basically has admitted that he took Thanos from Darkseid. It's basically Darkseid. So to see Kirby actually do Thanos would be great. Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think of things he hasn't done, because Kirby did so many classic effects. He invented so many of them.
Sure.
This is nuts.
Which one is that?
Barry Windsor Smith,
Wolverine. Wolverine. I've never seen his Wolverine. That's nice. Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
Right?
There's
a couple of Wolverines. There was one that was just like a cover, and it's like he's wearing all of his Weapon X, shit in his head, and he's got all the wires and everything. He's just got the
really cool.
The claws coming up, and just holding it by his face. So I saw that one.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I'm going to have to look into more of these guys.
Oh, yeah. I actually have a Barry Windsor Smith, a couple posters that I bought when I was a kid, when he was selling his artwork. We used to get this comic book newspaper. I can't remember what it was called, but it came like once a month or something, and you could order things through it, and Barry Windsor Smith had an ad, and I got a couple of his posters that, I don't know if you're familiar with art history at all, but there was a movement around the turn of the 20th century called the Pre-Raphaelite movement.
Okay.
He's very much in the Pre-Raphaelite style, but it's one of my favorite genres of, or movements, I should say, in art. It's, I don't know how to describe it. It's very classic looking, but sort of nouveau art at the same time. There's a famous painting of Ophelia from Hamlet laying in the lake. That's in the Pre-Raphaelite style. I can't remember the artist, though. Yes.
So is that what you were just talking about just now?
Yes, that's one of his posters.
That's a trip, because I was just like looking through, and right when you said that, I was like, click.
And that's very much the Pre-Raphaelite style.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Yeah, great artist.
Yeah.
And he did a long run of Conan. People tend to prefer Sal Buscema's Conan, which is good also, but I like Barry Windsor Smith's because it's more arty, I guess.
Sure. Dig it.
I'm putting a lot of names in the tags. We've talked quite a bit about Jack. Talked about how he deserved a lot more when it came to, I guess, at least some of his piece of the pie.
Yeah, he contributed a lot more than he got credit for. He really, at least half created a lot of those characters that Stan Lee kind of took full credit for.
There's a scene of Superman in the animated series I'm going to throw on. A cop character named Dan Turpin, and Bruce Timm based the character off of Jack Kirby.
Oh, cool.
And even the tribute at the end of the episode, it's a trip.
It's one of the elements I love about Thor Ragnarok, is that's a total tribute to Jack Kirby.
Right.
I don't know if you've noticed, the backdrops and stuff are full on Jack Kirby.
Everything.
Yeah.
Even in the new Eternals trailer, when you had the Celestial.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to
that.
The
Was
Eternals.
just like, what is it, a 6 or 8 dotted face,
the Celestial,
completely,
I forget which one it is, but yeah.
Completely Jack Kirby, just total pull.
Yeah, they didn't change it. They actually based those off of his artwork, so that's great.
And that's what I'm liking about that, is that
that's what he was saying. It's like it's just that he's like, that shot is that looks like just a Jack
Totally.
Kirby drawing.
Yeah.
Totally
a Jack
just
Kirby
3D
drawing.
and CGI. So it's exciting to see that type of shit, especially when it comes to, like, one of my favorite things about Jack Kirby was the Kirby dots. When it came to the energy beams and just looking at the different colors and just seeing all the dots in the middle of it.
Everyone does that now, and he created it. I mean, I'll bet you could.
It as good as him ever.
But you could just like open it. Well, that's more just an energy blast. But I bet you could find
Kirby dots.
right there, Kirby dots.
And it was
just open a random page. You're going
very
to find
much
Kirby
like
dots.
space, like the parts of space that would make it look like it's further away or something that you need to like kind of focus on a character floating through a completely black backdrop. You're not going to be able to get as much detail out of it. So you do the Kirby dots, and it would be like a lot more highlighted, because you just get the light points, and then all the other dots were just kind of the rest of the outside of space. So
it was a brilliant
gives you that depth
invention, actually, and that's why everyone uses them now.
Right.
It is such a brilliant comic book trope. And by the way, he was a huge fan of 2001. That's why he did this. He really loved the movie.
Yeah.
It's right up his alley.
Yeah.
It's
especially
the kind of stuff he used to think about.
The pages, in this, like even the final page, it's very psychedelic.
Yes.
Very psychedelic, and just the stuff that he did. Like even the amount of detail right here when it comes to like even the mechanics and everything, like even that, like they said in the documentary, it just looked like it could work.
And when you think about how he drew this page, he probably started here and just drew everything completely. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, that's
And this, the mouth, the very, I would call it the butthead mouth, the braces, the very braces. When you're trying to make it so your lip doesn't touch your braces, but that was a very distinct Jack Kirby mouth. You can see that on Captain America. You can see that on everybody.
I see that you have braces.
Yes.
Yes.
I have braces.
Oh
too.
my! I never made that connection. That kind of is a butthead mouth.
Yeah. 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 Damn it, Beavis.
I guess the last question I have, kind of like me, like before this, where it's just like I'd heard of Jack Kirby, but say someone's like never heard of Jack Kirby, like what's like the one, like your go-to, like, oh, look at this, like what's the one thing you'd say, like, well, look at this.
I'll let you go first. I know what I would say.
I'm having a hard time picking one thing. What would you say?
I would say all of his run of Fantastic Four. Anything that he did for Fantastic Four.
Sure. He did a lot of great work on it. Oh, you know what I'm going to pick? Just because it has personal meaning to me, because it was the very first comic book I ever had.
Okay.
Was a crossover between Avengers and Fantastic Four, where the Hulk and the Thing first fought.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
That's what got me into comic books. As a present, like a birthday present or something, my mom got me this giant size collection of Marvel comics, and one of the stories was that crossover between Avengers and Fantastic Four, and I just remember as a kid that just was amazing to me.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, I would pick that.
And that's something I also want to see definitely in the Marvel Universe movies, is Thing versus Hulk.
Oh, that's what I've been waiting for, because that was my introduction to comics as a little kid.
Yeah.
And it's funny, my introduction to comics as a little kid was a Jack Kirby, and I ended up knowing him. So
Right.
as a little kid to meet, like, oh my God. Maybe as a kid I thought this is just normal. Everyone, I didn't realize how big the world was.
Sure, of course.
So it's like, like, oh, well, of course, you just go over to Jack Kirby's house. But
Right.
you know, looking back in hindsight, it's
amazing.
like, wow, what an amazing
Yeah,
thing.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
nowadays you'd be kind of seen as bold. Like you're just going to ride your bike over to somebody's house, huh, and just go and talk to them. But
Well, we called first, and he invited us.
hey, that's right. That's right. You did call.
Manners.
Yeah.
Manners matter.
Yes, they do. But the fact that they picked up, or whoever whether it be Jack or his wife, picked up and said, "Yeah, come on by."
Yeah, I honestly
It's a good
think
thing.
it
Good
was
thing the
Ross.
daughter never picked
Right.
up. No, go away.
he's not home. He's my dad.
Yeah, you got the wrong number.
But I think it was Roz. I think it was Roz who said, "Well, why don't you come over?" And you know, so
That's
yeah.
cool. Well, I think then she recognized the fact that he probably lit up whenever he was
he
talking to
loved
kids, and also
yeah.
talking about his just what he loved talking about.
Yeah, it's
which
what he
was
loved
his art.
doing.
He knew his
Yes.
audience.
He was living his best
he was
life.
audience.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's great.
That's what he liked doing, and it's what he did all day long.
Especially
And-
after what the fuck he went through, with like going back to the Battle of the Bulge and everything like that. He was a map drawer. He was sent in to look over the territory. Like, you go in first. You tell us where we're going to go. You make the map, and we'll figure it out from there.
Well, that probably
So
speaks a
he's
lot to
probably
his
saw
attention to detail. I mean,
Yes.
when
That too, yeah.
because
Yes.
if you're drawing maps like that, you have people's lives in your
Right.
hands. If you don't map everything out perfectly, so you put that into the work, you can see the detail in the work. So
Right.
that's
Did you know the very first Captain America cover where he's punching Hitler?
Right.
he was telling me.
That was released before we got into the war, and he got numerous death threats from American Nazis.
Oh boy.
There's American Nazis? Oh, I'm sorry.
Always have been.
Sorry.
It's nothing new.
I had no idea.
They've always been there.
Right. Go figure.
Yeah.
Useless cunts. All right.
Great.
Yeah, well, they always end up losing. They might have their day in the sun, but they always end up losing because most people are not douchebags.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Right.
There's enough of them. There's lots of douchebags,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
but not most.
Right.
So
Right.
eventually they will lose.
Yes, they will.
That's great. Do you think, man? This isn't. I'm just. We can keep this in or not. I'm curious
Yeah,
of it. Do you think that the Thor Ragnarok is the closest we'll see to World War Hulk?
I think,
Probably.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. You know, they're obviously working towards Secret Wars. They have so much on the plate. They can't address everything. I think they just did a nod to World War Hulk. I don't think it's going to be a major storyline they're going to address anytime soon.
Because I figured that would be his next standalone movie. Because he only has the one. Like
Can't
Captain America
make-
has a
Prob-
few.
problem being is they
Iron Man
can't
has a
make-
few, and then Thor has a few. But
Right.
there's just that one Incredible Hulk, at least in the MCU. I thought that the next one would be like when they're shooting him off into space, and he's on the rocket. I'm like, well, there's the next Hulk movie, World War Hulk. That's easy, but
Or
Except
Planet
they-
Hulk. They don't own the rights at this point.
and they would
Universal
have
has
to
it.
leave him out of other story because they're going to have to reintroduce him to other storylines. So that thread's going to be broken
Right.
before they can even manage to get to that. So
maybe
I-
now that there's a multiverse.
Well, yeah. I mean, multiverse, they can do whatever they want as long as they're tying it into a different movie. Because at this point, Universal still has the rights, and they're not giving it back. They're like kind of Sony has the rights to Spider-Man,
Okay.
so they have to do a deal with Marvel and Disney to make Spider-Man movies. Same
Okay.
thing with Universal, but they've kind of just said, we're just going to put them in everybody else's movies, and it's going to make it that much better.
Sure.
it was a smart move, actually.
Yeah,
Because he kind of makes a better Avengers character than he does a standalone. Because the Hulk movies, honestly, even the MCU Hulk is one of the worst MCU movies. It's
Well, yeah,
not
I mean-
one of the better ones.
Yeah.
So it hasn't worked so far in a standalone. You're right. That would be a good storyline to do a standalone. I just don't know if that's... There's so many irons in the fire
Sure,
right now.
sure.
I don't know if that one's also in the fire.
Sure.
I mean,
I think we'll find out a lot with Eternals. Eternals is going to break it wide open.
Yeah.
They're going to introduce the opening for X-Men because it's all the genetic manipulation that created the whole Marvel universe,
Right.
really. So they're going to open up everything in Eternals, I have a feeling. So we'll find out what's in the future from that movie.
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Dig it, man.
yeah. I'm excited for that one.
Oh, really excited. You know, Marvel was blown away when she brought them her early releases that she had done, the dailies, whatever.
Right.
They were blown away.
Yeah.
They were like, this is way better than we even imagined.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just looking at Nomadland.
Yeah, I liked it.
I didn't
Did
see
you see
it.
it?
I didn't
liked
see it, but just the trailers and the behind the scenes stuff I saw, just the visuals alone makes you go, it's probably a damn good fucking movie.
Very good movie. You can't tell anything about what Eternals is going to be like from it.
Of course not. No,
because it's
but
an entirely different sort of thing.
No, but I mean, just looking at what she does with the cinematography and everything like that, the shots that
she clearly knows what she's doing.
Right.
And like the Marvel executives actually thought like this is Oscar material. They liked it that much. They were blown away.
Dude, can you imagine if a Marvel movie wins an Oscar?
I don't see it happening, but
If it
maybe.
did, it would, like you said, it would open the door to a fuck ton of whole new possibilities at this point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, shit, Marvel movies or any type of comic book movies are lucky if they even get recognized in any type of, maybe special effects.
Well, Return of the King won won Best Picture,
Right.
So it's possible. It could happen.
Well, we've not only talked Jack Kirby, we've talked everything else under the sun, I think.
Yeah, well,
That's what we do.
And
what we do.
I really appreciate you coming out and showing us this.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And telling your story and making us jealous, because if I'm sitting here jealous of you being able to go and ride your bike over to Jack Kirby's house, eat cookies, and have him just sign comic books and talk artwork and just...
It's one of the things I really look back on fondly.
Yeah, I can see why that's one of your favorite memories in life, because it's not something that like anybody else can really say that, I went over to...
If I could be 8 years old and ride my bike to Ricky Henderson's house and talk baseball, that would have been...
Right. If I could ride my bike over to Robin Williams' house and just be able to just let him just fucking let loose and just be Robin Williams, And
I was on a film set with Robin Williams.
You don't have to rub it all in. Okay.
Well, thanks. Well, that's our...
You knew the baseball player too, right? Yeah. Those two are yours.
I'll tell you, he was always on the whole day.
Yeah.
The whole day.
Yeah,
Never stopped.
Right.
It was all... Billy Crystal was there, too.
Nice.
Billy Crystal was kind of quiet. He didn't say much. Robin Williams, just going constantly.
Right. I just showed him the scene from Dead Again with Robin Williams. It's his introduction scene where he's sitting in the freezer reading.
Dead Again. I don't remember that one.
Dead Again was with Kenneth Branagh and why can't I remember his wife's name, or ex-wife now?
Emma Thompson?
Emma Thompson.
Have I seen this? Dead Again. Oh, that's like an early Kenneth Branagh. Mm-hmm. Robin Williams is in that? I don't remember that.
Yes, yeah, I put that scene on last night.
Okay.
So
Wow.
that's good. But I showed him also, he hadn't seen it yet, and we showed him Dirty Rotten Scoundrels for the first time.
Oh, that's a great movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Do yourselves a favor. Go watch Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah, funny movie.
Absolutely.
Man,
and I was
so good.
telling him that
So good.
if they steal my idea, who cares? Because I can't. They're not going to listen to me anyway. So if it gets stolen, at least it gets made. I would want them to make a sequel to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, where you've got Steve Martin and Michael Caine doing their thing still to this day, just swindling the ladies, right? But then another player comes into town, and they have to do what they can to drive him out, and that player would be Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because you get the comedy from Chris Hemsworth, he knows how to do that. No problem.
He's got
Timing,
great comic timing.
It's just perfect.
Perfect choice for Thor. One of the best castings in
Right.
the whole history of comic book movies,
And-
in my opinion.
and-
Like, so perfect for Thor.
I mean, he's not the best looking guy in the world, but he's got some looks.
Yeah.
So to have
Homely guy, but
yeah.
Don't stop touching his muscles.
Right. But to have him going up, competing with Steve Martin and Michael Caine, at that point, they're probably thinking, how do we do this?
Do you remember the Steve Martin story?
What? With?
My brother's friend, remember that? My brother's friend has a blog site that he's had for years and years and years about, he's a Disney fanatic.
Right.
Remember Steve Martin used to work at Disney when he was 19 or
Magic
something.
Shop.
I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the Magic Shop and the
Right on.
Jungle Cruise, I think.
Right on. Okay.
So my brother's friend has this blog that was about Disney, and he people send in pictures of old Disney from the 60s and stuff being at the Disneyland. Well, someone with, an unrecognizable name, how you use a fake name on the internet,
Sure.
had been contributing to this blog and talking a lot about Disney, saying, I used to work there and stuff. And at one point, he said, hey, we live close. Maybe we should meet. And so my brother's friend is like, sure, yeah, great. So they set up this time at a restaurant. He shows up at the restaurant. He's like, I'm here to meet Steve. And the guy's like, oh, yes, come with me. And he brings him to some private back room.
Dude.
And he's like going, what the hell's going on?
Am I about to get... I'm going to get
And
killed,
it's Steve
right?
Martin.
Wow.
Steve Martin's like, hey, you know.
Wow.
He stopped in his tracks.
Sure.
What the...
What's happening here? Yeah. That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Right on.
Trip out. So, you said that was your friend or your brother?
My brother's friend.
Your brother's friend. Okay, so either family or friends of family seem to have really good luck when it comes to meeting people that are famous. And
Well,
yeah.
you know, I did extra work for 6 years. I'd met a shitload of famous people.
Yes. 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 Well,
One of the nicest was Pee Wee Herman.
So you
Nice
have
guy.
you have some other stories. We
Oh,
need
yeah.
like a whole nother episode.
we could do that. Actually.
Well, first of all, I'm
Talk about
56
extra
years
work.
old, so I'm old. I've been around.
Yeah,
You're wise.
You don't
You're
look
wise.
56, sir. Okay, just saying.
Do you remember what I said to Orion?
What did he say? What was it?
Back it was, at the time, I think I was 51 or something.
Right.
But he goes, "You're 51?" No, I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man, I hope I look that good when I'm 51." And I said, "Brother, you don't look that good now."
Shit, he burned him. He burned
Right.
them all.
I'll always go for the joke.
Well, yes,
Of course.
especially at fair.
Yeah. Remember that
have
woman?
to.
This is one of my favorite responses I ever came back with. Because I should probably just explain that I wear that cod piece.
You mean the belaying pin?
Yeah, the belaying. It's basically a giant belaying pin with 2 chainmail blue balls underneath.
Let's talk about what it looked like before. First of all, it used to be just a regular belaying pin.
Yes.
It wasn't a small one, but it was a good-sized belaying pin. And
Then it had
he
a custom one made.
He said, you know what, I really want to have one done. He was talking about it around a woodmaker who also became slightly famous. But he said, I want one that, it's not just any belaying pin. I want it to look like a dick. But not too much like a dick. I want it to be recognizable, but at the same time, I can get away with it.
And Purple Heart hardwood.
Purple
So
Heart
it's purple.
hardwood, yes. So, yeah, the first time he got that, I looked at it and went, how are you not going to get complaints? First of all, Michelle Amsbury is probably like eye level with it anyways.
Yes.
So to have her walk past it.
But then I added the chainmail balls to it.
Yes, yes.
And no officials ever complained about it. But the last year that the fair was, Southern Fair was open,
2019, yeah.
2019. Some woman walks up to me, and she's got her arms crossed, and she goes, "I don't think that's appropriate for children." And I looked at her and said, "I don't use it on children." She didn't know what to say. Her face just went,
Whoa!
and she just sort of slunk away.
I believe that look was the look of touche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Dang.
it's going to be sad next year if you don't. show
Yeah,
up.
well, I actually have a lot of fans that show up. It's kind of freaked me out. People that come back to see me. I had this group of guys that just kept saying I look like Andre the Giant. And I was like, okay, I have long curly hair and I'm bigger than average. But
Hulk Hogan movie. There he is.
Yeah.
Right.
There he is.
but I said, you realize that guy was like 7 foot, 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Like way bigger than me.
Well,
But this is the best compliment I ever got. The guy goes, yeah, but your personality's 7 foot, 500 pounds.
there it is. There it is.
I went, I almost stopped.
Confetti.
I almost stopped and went, aw, that's like the nicest thing.
Dude, I'm gonna fucking cry. Don't do this right now. Like, stop that. Like, Hallmark moment.
I will
Thank
not
you.
break character.
Yeah.
I will not break character.
I will say this. I do have ideas for certain things that I want to do when it comes to.
Oh, hold on there.
Hey, now, hey, whoa. Talking wrestling, and then we get a little weird. No, but Halloween costume. You as Fezzik, Tracy as.
Oh, that would be awesome.
What's his name? No, the Man in Black.
Yeah, the main guy. Yeah.
Wesley.
Wesley,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
So to have the two of you. and
That
he
would be
could-
awesome.
He could jump on your back and everything. Just be like,
Well,
that
you know,
moment.
I always wanted to do this bit with Tracy where get one of those fake, 1-ton weights or whatever.
Right.
And act like I'm doing the strongman show and walk out there like, oh, like I can just barely get off the ground, and then just have Tracy walk by and pick it up, throw it over his shoulder, walk away. Like that would just be such an awesome shtick. But
let's wrap this up because this is
we can talk off.
A lot of editing. But again, thank you for coming by.
yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
And let's do this again on other subjects because when it comes to
Yeah, well, I had mentioned that if you guys want to go into, there's a number of things I'm pretty well educated on. If you want to go into the science of Marvel Comics, I studied physics. If you want to go into people's training programs, I'm into strength athletics, so I could give you details on that.
On
whatever, just anything peripheral, and I can come back and.
Fantastic. Sounds good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're willing to come back, and I'm glad you're excited for each episode, like you were for the second episode when you paid us that wonderful compliment, and then told us that you were excited about the next listening to the next episode.
Yeah, I would say your voices come across very well. You both have great voices for podcasts. A lot of character, easy to understand. You don't mumble or anything.
I'm a little worried about myself today because I'm hungover as hell, but we'll see how this one goes. But yeah, love to have you back.
Absolutely,
this was great.
I'll just do a little mini golf clap because I want to get into the red. Thank you.
And happy birthday, Jack Kirby.
Happy birthday, Jack Kirby.
And
103 today.
104.
104.
Yeah.
And
what a legacy.
And speaking of legacy, we miss a Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Because
miss you, King.
Two kings one day.
Indeed.
So, yep.
Right
All
on.
right, folks. Well, I don't know what we're going to be talking about next week. What should we talk about? No, next week we're going to be talking Shang-Chi.
Yeah, we should be talking Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that's going to be out.
Shang-Chi and the Ten
Which
Rings.
I have to change my seat. Okay, I'm going to say this real quick before we wrap up. Don't do this, folks, because if you do this, you're an asshole. At the way back,
Unless you're
where it's
listening
like
to
the
the podcast,
handicap
thank
section.
you, but,
Right.
whatever.
No. If you listen to the podcast and you're the one who fucking took the seat next to me, you're a dick. It's all the handicap seats, right? And then one regular seat, another regular seat, and then all the handicap seats. I picked the one regular seat on the left, thinking, who the fuck's going to want to sit next to some Joe Rando? There's only 2 other seats in one row and then 2 other seats in another row taken. So the entire theater is completely open for a selection of whatever seat you want. And some fucking dickwad decided, I'm going to sit next to that guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
That is weird.
Why?
I was telling him, I was like, that's like when you're in an empty bathroom and you pick like the one stall, and there's all these stalls, and the dude comes right next, like, bro, like, there's a whole area.
Yeah. Like,
If you're going to do that, you at least got to look over and go,
Right. It might not go how you want it to go.
yeah.
Right.
You got to be careful with that. That's what, I don't often get people who can keep, when you've worked the fair for 40 years, you get pretty good at banter. So you don't get many people that can keep up. But every now and then, you get someone who surprises you. That I've literally said, ooh, you win. That was brilliant. And there was something like that where it was I made some comment, and the guy came back and just hit me with something like such a sexual innuendo that I was like, okay, you win.
We're good.
I wish I could remember how it went. I can't remember exactly, but it really got me by surprise.
Well, then we'll talk Renaissance Fair at some point too. We'll do an episode on that because you're quite enjoying your now 6. It'll be your 6th year.
It'll be my 6th or 7th.
Yeah,
something like that.
And we've done it pretty much the exact same amount, even though I was a child.
You were a baby.
I was a baby, so you got more of an experience out of it. But I
remember more of those 40 years.
Well, you drank sooner than I did.
That's true. I probably don't remember.
You might have blacked out the same amount of that I don't remember. So
I was basically like an infant anyways. I was laying there going, drooling on myself, peeing my pants. So basically same experience.
On that note, folks,
all right,
we're going to talk Shang-Chi next week, and this has been a blast. We will talk to you later.
You can find us on all the things. We're on anywhere where you can find a podcast. Just put in the matinee review.
If you go to Buzzsprout, they'll show you exactly what we're listed on, and that's pretty much everything except for Pandora at this point.
Yeah.
Just got to get on Pandora. Although I think they have a thing where you have to sign saying you won't do impressions of people that are famous, and I kind of just at that point I went, I'm good. Because no, that's pretty much who I am.
That's your bag.
Yeah, I can't even like stop it sometimes.
That's
it
your
just
bag.
happens.
Yeah,
Why is that a rule?
I started reading something like that, and I went, "No, I'm good."
That's not a copyright violation. It's fair use. Like, you can impersonate someone's voice. That's okay.
know.
Like, what the hell?
Somebody-
I'll have to look into it. If I read it wrong, I'll
That's
sign up
weird.
with Pandora. But if that's the case, I'm not signing
Yeah,
up with
no,
Pandora.
that's-
That's what I do.
I'd be doing the podcast by myself.
Yeah, it's that.
Poor thing, he's a mute. Yeah.
All right, folks. So we're gonna talk Shang-Chi, and we will talk to you next week. Jason, thank you so much for coming by, man.
Thank you.
It's been quite a
It's been a
pleasure.
pleasure.
It was a fun ride.
Yeah.
I am Akili.
I am Justin,
I'm Jason.
and we will talk to you later.
Peace.
Have a good one.